Hello and welcome to I Heard It on a Podcast and Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
It's Christmas Day if you didn't know or were aware.
Or maybe you're in a different part of the country and you're watching this on a different day, or you don't celebrate Christmas. There's a lot of reasons people might not know it's Christmas.
Sure, but it could be Christmas in your heart no matter what day it is. Anyway, today is Christmas Day, and so we're doing Christmassy things. If you didn't notice, Riley has his Christmas sweater on. It's beautiful.
My ugly Christmas sweater.
I think it's beautiful.
Maybe someday we'll do an expose on that. But
there's like beads.
Yeah, it's bedazzled and embroidered, and it's got unique buttons.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm wearing today.
I
wear it every Christmas day. This is what you wear on Christmas, though.
Yeah, it is. Well, just pajamas black. Maybe, but...
Oh, yeah. But your
close.
Pajamas, I'm guessing, don't look that much different than your...
No.
They're like
it's
gray
like
and
joggers
and
instead
black.
of jeans, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, my wardrobe aside.
Today, we will be speaking in defense of Santa and explaining technically and logistically how his operation works.
Yes.
Why he does exist.
Yes.
And how exactly he gets all those things done that we attribute to Santa. But first, I'd like to cheers you with our glog.
We have glog. I don't know what glog is, but we have it.
It's like a Swedish spiced mulled wine. I made it with some family friends a few weeks ago because it's like a whole holiday thing. It's not just specific to Christmas. But if you probably won't be able to see, dear viewer, or listener, especially if you're listening, you won't be able to see. But at the bottom, I guess it's customary to put raisins and almonds.
Interesting.
So while you're making it, you're cooking it over like a fire, and you add wine and some different spirits and cinnamon and clove and all those warm spices, and then you also add raisins and almonds to like add to the flavor. So it's pretty potent and pungent. And it's from Sweden. I don't know if I said that.
It sounds very like wintry / old, I think, is like the the vibe I get. That good, huh?
I'm not a huge like alcohol guy. I got an almond. Hold on.
In your mouth? Yikes.
I guess one was floating. It's very alcohol-y.
You took too big of a drink for how alcoholic it is.
Yeah, it's a sipper. So we'll be slowly sipping it as we discuss Santa. So the first question I'd like to get to is, how does Santa get around to all those different places in one night?
Sure.
Obviously, like if you just think about it, the sun goes from east to west. So he's probably going from east to west to get the most out of his night.
As the night starts, he's like following it.
Right. So like as soon as the sun sets, let's see, what would the first time zone be that it would become Christmas Day? Like around Australia?
Yes.
I think that's how our globe works.
Like the easternmost part of Russia, because I think the split is like in between Alaska and Russia. That's where the like little dent out is
international
in the
date line.
Yeah.
And so then you lived in Australia for a while. It's ahead of us.
Yes, by like
they're in the future.
16 to 18 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be like around there, the like Australia region, the Eastern Asia region. So Santa goes there first. But a question that is frequently asked is like, does Santa go to other countries? And if so, how is that different? We're not here to answer that question. That's a different episode. But I think he knows what houses he's responsible for. And maybe there's entire countries that he can like skip because they have different beliefs and understandings of Santa, and he acquiesces to those.
Could there hypothetically be like a mob family of Santas, like a conglomeration? Like maybe we just have like the European Santa, but maybe there's like a Russian Santa and like an African Santa, and like they all together are like Santa, but
they're responsible for different regions and different traditions.
Right.
That's possible. I think that could happen.
Yeah.
I personally like to believe that it's one Santa who like morphs and changes as he enters different regions. And he's like, well, in Germany, they know me as whatever, and I dress like this, so I'm going to change my outfit. And then when I get to America, they know me as this, and they think I look like this, and I have this kind of sleigh, and it changes, and like that's part of the magic.
Yeah.
And of course, Santa has magic, but we're here to discuss the logic behind the magic.
Yeah. Because I bet he uses wormholes to get around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like a wormhole from every house?
Not necessarily. I could see some method of just like dropping the presents down the chimney. Like I don't feel like Santa personally goes into every house. I feel like maybe he said that to be more like personable, but I feel like there's no way.
That would explain why no one ever sees him.
Right. But maybe like wormholes in between, like, because I'm thinking if he's in Russia and then he has to get to Australia within the same like hour as night is happening, like he has to have a wormhole, right?
It's either that or he has control over time.
Right. Which could be.
I think that that's possible. I think it's possible that while he still gets the full use out of the night going from east to west, he's like slowing down time and he's able to go to an entire city in 4 seconds.
Well, okay, so we can get scientific with this because
that's what we're doing.
You know how like time is relative and the faster you move, the slower everything around you relatively seems to be moving.
Right.
So like the closer you get to the speed of light, the slower things that aren't relative to you are moving. He could just be moving like so fast that to him time is moving faster than it is to us.
I mean, that explains it from our perspective too. If Santa was actually moving at the speed of light, he probably could get around all of Australia in 4 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could see that. I mean, obviously he can't move at the actual speed of light.
Why not?
It's impossible. Matter can't move at the speed of light.
Maybe Santa is made of photons.
Sure. He like doesn't have any mass.
Right. That's a possibility. But I don't think that that's it. I think that he has like a time turner, like a watch that he controls time with, and he's like, all right, now I'm in Manhattan, and I've got a lot of houses to get to in Manhattan, but I've only got 3 minutes to do it, so I'm just gonna go whoop and then slow down time while he places a present, and then I guess why would he ever like speed up time again?
Yeah,
I guess when he's done, like when he's done with Manhattan, he's like, all right, that took, I don't know, 3 minutes of our understanding of time. This is getting a little complicated.
And then is Santa immortal? Like, is this all of this like time skipping for him, not just like aging him like crazy? He has to be immortal, right?
I think he's got to be immortal or like has figured out the secret to aging. And he technically gets older, but he's got some sort of like serum or cosmic ray or something that he can access that undoes all of the effects of aging.
Okay.
Like every 45 seconds or something.
He has a lot of gadgets. He's very technologically advanced.
Well, if you think about how his shop, and we can transition to this, how his shop makes literally every object. Like if you want a Xbox, he can make that. But if you want a trampoline, he can make that too. And if you want like a Coco Chanel bag, he can make that too, as good as Coco Chanel can. So I think that there's obviously magic behind the fabrication of all of these things.
Yes.
But he's also like got to get those materials from somewhere. So the real question is he like importing raw materials from somewhere under like the guise of corporation or something? Or is he like rearranging actual atoms to create new raw materials? He's like moving electrons over to make it different things and performing like the chemistry of life to make an Xbox.
That would be my assumption, because like you'd think someone would notice that amount of materials being shipped to like the North Pole, even if it is under the guise of a company, unless he like has like tentacle branches all across the world that then like internally ship it back to the North Pole. But that just seems like too much work. You should just rearrange matter.
Yeah, I could see there being like every large company you can think of is just a front basically for Santa, and like Amazon obviously is collecting a lot of materials and redistributing them to
Mm.
the final destination. But who's really checking how much they collect and if they actually distribute all of that to like you and me rather than to Santa?
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, going down that train of thought, if every company is like a front for Santa, that would make a lot of sense because they're building everything already just under our noses, and we don't think
Yeah.
anything of it because they sell it the rest of the year. But on Christmas, anything Santa needs, like he owns it, and then that's how he pays for everything else. Is he owns every corporation in the world
Mm.
all the rest of the year.
So what you're saying is on Christmas Day, we, the people of the world,
Uh-huh.
are the elves
Right.
making the products,
Yeah.
sending it to Santa, who then sends it back to us.
Yeah.
Or like redistributes it in the order of like want.
It's like a weird mix of hyper capitalism and hyper communism.
Sounds beautiful. No, but I think obviously if he's rearranging matter, he can just like rearrange snow or something that he has a lot of and make it into an Xbox. Technically, with like my understanding of physics and chemistry, that could happen if you just have like the appropriate like protons and neutrons.
Yeah.
But
It would need a lot of energy.
yeah, that's why. Well, maybe because he's made of pure photons, he's like the sun basically. Like he creates his own Dyson sphere around himself and collects his energy.
Maybe he has like a huge like tunnel to the center of the earth that like he uses like geothermal energy to power it. And then he could also technically like have a skyhook at the North Pole, and they could like have elves in space like mining asteroids and bringing materials
Yeah,
down
if that
like
was happening right now, we wouldn't even know.
No.
No one looks, no one checks
No.
up there.
It doesn't even show up on like Google Earth. You can't
Uh-uh.
see it.
Yeah. I was actually looking at Google Earth yesterday and I was like, why is there no ice up here?
Yeah.
You can just see straight from like the top of Canada to the top of Russia and there's no ice.
A lot of it, like, I think they fill in a lot of that because like satellites don't get that far north or south. So there is like a point that you can't see satellite imagery of because the satellites aren't orbiting in that like plane. And so you can't necessarily, unless it's like, I mean, I think the military have satellites and whatever, but like us, like we can't just see like the North Pole on a satellite. So that's something that they filled
convenient.
in. I know. Conspiracies abound.
Okay, so if Santa owns all corporations and he uses it to kind of like redirect goods and then also takes the profit from all those places to fund, because you still got to like, you know, you got to have proper accounting. You got to offset all those things that you're purchasing then to redistribute.
Yep.
Especially since we don't pay for Santa to like come to our house.
Right.
So it's probably all a big tax write-off.
Yeah.
Christmas is a tax write-off.
Kind of.
Oh, this is getting like
Sad
and like a little too materialistic.
Sure.
So I'd like to pivot back to how he physically gets all those items from the North Pole to Colorado and then to England and then to South Africa and then to Japan. And like, does he make trips back and forth to carry one sleighful at a time? Or does he have some sort of like black hole bag that he can constantly reach into? Or it's like connected to the wormhole at the North Pole, and there's a huge assembly of elves that are like, all right, he's coming up on 123 Main Street. That's this present. Throw it in the hole, and then it pops out of his bag or whatever. How does that work?
That would make sense to me. He obviously like, I mean, if there was a black hole bag with that much mass in it, like we would notice. And I don't think it's feasible, like even going, I mean, he could make multiple trips, but that just seems like inefficient, especially if he has all of this technological advancement. Like, you might as well just use the wormhole and have a wormhole bag. I don't know, though, that like wormholes can be like attached to something and moved through space.
Not with our current understanding.
Right.
But I see Santa as like the ultimate master of physics.
Yeah,
and like
he's made out of pure photons.
He's made out of pure photons, and he can move mass in ways that we don't understand. But we do kind of think that there's ways that mass moves throughout our universe that we don't fully understand, right? So why can't Santa have that control?
It's like quantum tunneling for presents.
Exactly. Well, it's either that or he has some sort of like ultra high powered sleigh that carries all presents at a time.
I think we would have noticed that though. If he's got like C-130 sleighs.
Maybe they are in such high orbit that we wouldn't even like think to look above satellites.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just like drops them with perfect aim and they fall right down the chimney.
Santa could be like a major military power at this point too.
But he chooses not to be, which I think is very reflective of his character and his personality.
Yes. I would like to think like if he could rearrange matter to make anything, maybe he could just like rearrange matter in your house to make your present already there. Maybe the present doesn't even travel. Maybe he makes it on the spot.
That's a good thought. So what does he, as we know, you can't like create matter out of nothing.
Right.
So what is he just like bringing raw materials and like, no, because that's still transporting stuff. So is he like stealing something from your house to make your present? Like, where does he get the matter?
Like, where did my microwave go? I have an Xbox now.
Right. Or like, I thought I had 10 ornaments and now I only have 8. I guess 2 of them became this handbag.
Maybe there's like there's way less elements than there are items that people would want in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's like how you'd have like air-to-air refueling for planes, but it's like elves in other aerial transports that like restock Santa with all of the, the periodic table basically every so often, and then he just carries around the periodic table as he goes and has supply drops come in.
I like that. I like the idea of him having like a Splatoon's gun that's like loaded with 112 however many elements there are, and he just like shoots the gun and it magically formulates whatever. It's like, you'll need this amount of helium and this amount of iron and this amount of cobalt, or is that even an element? Okay. And it just creates itself because of his mastery of physics. I like that idea.
I think that fits.
Then the question is like, where are they getting all those raw materials, and how much atoms of iron would he need to carry around with him?
A lot, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that less than just carrying around a sleigh of already created? I mean, it's the same amount of mass, right? So is that really easier than just carrying around a sleigh of already created items?
Well, the nice thing is like it gives flexibility in the moment, and so the elves only have to worry about managing their periodic table of elements, and then Santa does all of the other work. So the elves are more of like a logistical backing and less of like a magical creature.
Yeah, I don't think that elves have control over physics. We definitely would have known that. But if just one being in the whole universe could control physics, I think that might go under our noses.
Yeah.
Because why would we even be looking for something like that? That's preposterous.
We are now, Santa.
We were definitely on the naughty list for this.
Yeah, well, Christmas is happening now, so we skated through until next year, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see if I got what I asked for, which is really just some books. Probably not that hard to fabricate out of molecules.
Like carbon.
Well, I think we've solved Santa. There's probably some other like logistical questions that you, dear viewer, as a 9-year-old might be wondering, well, if Santa is real, how is this actually happening? And if you have any more, maybe we'll do this again next year.
Yeah.
Write it down in the comments and we'll get to them. We will answer all of them with Santa's mastery of physics.
Yeah. And maybe we can look at other magical entities too.
Yeah.
You know how in I think it's this Tim Allen Santa Claus, there's like the board, like the council of magical beings, and there's like the Easter Bunny and like Father Time
and like Mother Earth.
Nature. Yeah. So maybe we could dive into some of those. Like I'd be curious about like the Tooth Fairy. Like why does it want so many teeth? That's kind of a weird collection.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think we can explain the Tooth Fairy, but Mother Earth is going to be tough.
Sure. Well, a different episode then.
One step at a time.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening to I Heard It on a Podcast. We've got new episodes every Monday, wherever you find podcasts, including YouTube.
Yeah. And if you'd like to connect with us, we're on Instagram and Threads. And you can also email us if you want to chat with us at hello@ihearditonapodcast.com.